Um, is there only one non-physical source we call spirit or God, or is there really many parts that make this an idea of one whole? I'd like to know if there is a God and what I have been chasing my whole life on earth.
You are separating the idea into this or that instead of this and that. There is one and there is all, and the one and the all are the same thing in different forms. There is one that becomes the all, that is the all, that experiences itself as the all, and there are the many things that together make up the one, but are each individually their own version, their own perspective of the one. Everything is made of God. There is nothing else to make anything from, and therefore God is everything. When people on your planet talk about the idea and the notion of God being omnipresent, you have to understand that it's not possible to be everywhere unless you're actually literally everything. Therefore, it is everything. It is every atom, every subatomic particle, every object, every molecule, everything. The space even in between the things that you think of as empty space, that is even made of God. There is nowhere where God, all that is, isn't. It is everything, it is everyone, it is everywhere, it is every when. All the things make it up, and it makes up all the things.
After one becomes enlightened, is there any steps along one's path of spiritual development, or is this awakening the last step?
Enlightenment never ends. There are always different levels to awareness and enlightenment and experiences of all that is. Even if someone imagines that they reach the so-called quote-unquote highest level of becoming one with all that is, becoming one with Source, there are still many versions of what it means to experience becoming one with Source. So even becoming one with Source is not the ending of enlightenment or awareness. It is infinite, goes on forever, never ends, there's always something else.
Okay, and can you please give examples of the idea of the illusion of power versus the power of the illusion? I would like to understand this concept better.
Many people on your planet fall under the illusion of power in the sense of thinking that their physical minds need to control things. They think of themselves as powerful when they find themselves able to manipulate certain events into a certain order that allows them to feel satisfied with what it is they insist on seeking. But the idea is to understand that physical reality is a projection of consciousness. In that context, an illusion doesn't mean it's not valid. It doesn't mean the experience is not real. But understanding that you are already creating your reality based on your belief systems, based on what you define as true for you, is being able to utilize the power of the illusion to your benefit by going with the flow, by not being in resistance, by not attempting to force things into shape, but by understanding how to allow them to automatically fall into place using your own natural current, your own natural control built into you, rather than attempting to artificially control things through the physical mind, which it's not designed to do. It is only designed to give you an experience of physical reality, not to control it. The idea is that the control is already built in to the choices that you made to experience, the challenges that you chose to experience in this lifetime to grow as a soul. So allowing the idea of the agreements you made to simply unfold in perfect timing and to respond to them in a positive way, acting on your passion, following the formula, going with the flow, not resisting the natural current that you are, is the way to use the power of the illusion that's already built into it, instead of falling under the illusion that you are powerful by exercising your physical mind to control everything, which is exactly the opposite of being in control.
And if we all have unique experiences of life on Earth, do we all see the same objects and colors in the same non-biased way? Do you, Bashar, see our Earth and objects' colors the same way we do? Or do you see everything as energy or some other state?
You may have a strong sense of agreement so that what you perceive in your reality is very, very similar to what someone else may be perceiving in their reality, and therefore have a common ground in a sense. But the idea is that you do not perceive exactly, precisely the same thing as everyone else. You all have a unique perspective. We see things also very differently than you do. We see multidimensionally far more than you do at this point in your evolution. And therefore we see energy patterns. We can recognize those energy patterns as a type of language that allows us to understand how to perceive you and other beings in a very different way, on many different levels, simultaneously, even into the idea of perceiving parallel reality aspects of your being that you are connecting to, other civilizational vibrations that you are connecting to, other dimensional expressions of your greater being and your oversoul. So yes, we see you as much bigger than you see yourselves in a variety of ways and extending into a variety of dimensional realities.
And when we use our imagination to interact with our hybrid children, what type of connection is actually happening? When this person is saying, when they play out the scenarios in their head, do they know that the hybrid children know they're doing this and come around? Can you explain this process a little more, because it's not tangible in their reality?
The hybrid children are extremely telepathic, will often pick up on when you are thinking of them, will allow their imagination to vibrationally match the imaginary scenarios that you are picturing in your head. For those that are vibrationally compatible with the realities that benefit them, they will experience what you are imagining. For those that are not necessarily relevant to them, they will not necessarily experience those portions of your imagination. They may send back a representation of what it is that would be more likely represented by them. They can reverse the telepathy in that sense and allow you, especially in dream time, to have a more representative imagination scenario that is more in alignment with their vibration. So that can work in both directions.
And you stated in a session that new children on Earth are coming through upgraded in a way that they will be able to remember the connection much faster.
Yes.
Please tell me the age range of these particular upgraded children.
Generally speaking, most of them are in their 20s at this point, although new ones are being born all the time, and therefore there's a large age range below 20 years of age. It doesn't mean that anyone over 20 isn't also hybridized in the new way, part of a new species. But the overall average age is somewhere in the 20s of those that have been hybridized to the point where they are a relatively new species. That doesn't mean that they're all in alignment. It simply means they all have different capacities than you used to have as a species. It still depends on what they choose to do with it. It still depends upon the themes that they chose to explore as to what they are capable of recognizing within themselves, but they do have a slight advantage of being capable of remembering more of who they are as a spirit connected to source. How they interpret it will be based on the themes they chose to explore.
And could you clarify how it is that the Sasani are one of the products of the hybridization agenda, but their physical future selves seem to also be participating in it, such as yourself? I am curious if the version of the hybridization agenda that you perceive as the origin of your society is the same as the one that you're participating in. For example, you perceive your physical self as being physically involved in the creation of your own society. Are there versions of it that were created without the involvement of physical future selves? In a similar fashion, does Willa perceive that Darryl has channeled her in the past of her timeline, which will mean the information of the 5 levels of mastery was being used on Earth before they even invented it.
You are confused by the science fiction convention of future and past and time travel. The idea is to understand us not so much literally as future selves, but as parallel reality interpretations, parallel reality counterparts that all exist simultaneously with your reality. So yes, we are involved, but literally speaking, we are not coming from what you would consider to be your future in a linear sense. We coexist with you right now. So the idea is to drop the notion that we're in your future, because that's not how it works. The idea of the utilization of the term future selves is simply an application to represent that we are very much more advanced than you, which you usually chalk up to the idea of a future evolutionary being. But we exist right now. So the idea is we coexist with you and are participating with you. We are not coming from the literal future in the science fiction sense.
And also, the idea that the third entity is created when Darryl channels you or
Yes.
channels Bashar. And does that being have its own individuated soul?
Of a type, yes. We will not go into detail on this at this time because it can get a little complex. But of a type, yes.
Okay, and could you clarify the differences between the grays that you're referring to and the zeta reticuli?
As we have mentioned from time to time, there are many factions of grays. And the reason for this primarily is that when we talked about the idea of grays coming from a parallel version of Earth and other parallel realities, you must understand that there are a multitude of grays from different parallel realities that come through to different versions of Earth. So you have a mix of grays, in a sense, that come from different origin points, all interacting to some degree in what you consider to be your reality. So the grays that are connected to zeta reticuli are not exactly the same grays that are involved primarily in our creation, in the idea of the hybridization agenda. So it gets a little bit confusing because some can cross over from one agenda to another from time to time. But there are many factions of grays that come from many different parallel realities, all coexisting simultaneously in what you consider to be your timeline.
Okay, and is it accurate to say that extrasolar intelligent beings cannot develop the technology to reach Earth unless they have transcended aggressive world domination agendas and other fear-based and greed-based motivations? Does this imply that regardless of the circumstances on Earth, when they arrive, these beings will be altruistic ETs?
For the most part, yes. And again, remember that those that are engaged with you will set up a vibration that would make it less likely that anything that is vibrationally incompatible with your best interests would simply not find you. You would be invisible to them because of the vibrational state of those engaged with you that are operating on a much higher frequency.
Okay, and could you please explain the game hexes written about in the book Shards of the Shattered Mirror by Darryl?
Yes. There is a playing field made of different hexes. You might call them electronically activated. And the idea is that the players standing on hexes have to, in some way, psychically or telepathically or synchronistically determine the pattern of the changes in the colors of the hexes that change from phase to phase, from moment to moment, so that when you move from one hex to another, you instinctively land on a color that moves you forward and benefits you, as opposed to eliminating you from the game. So, for example, if you move from one hex to another while all the hexes are shifting and changing in color, when the hexes stop changing, stop shifting, and solidify into a particular color that was different than what they were before, or similar to what they were before, Whatever color it is that you have now stood on, whatever color happens to be in the hex you have decided to go to, determines your status in the game. So if you perhaps, for example, move to a hex that winds up solidifying into a gold hex, you may have won the game. If you stand on a hex that happens to solidify into a black hex, you may be eliminated from the game. Other colors may represent different status points in the game.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Are those who are attracted to your teachings a participant in the hybridization agenda?
They don't all have to be, but about 90% or above usually are.
Okay. And it seems as more of our consciousness expands, more is revealed. Does this mean that as a collective consciousness, if we match your frequency, we will be able to see you in physical form, or will we continue seeing only via our third eye?
You will ultimately see us in physical form if your vibrational rate comes closer to matching our frequency. In some sense, that is really what contact is all about, because as we have said, those operating on a higher frequency have the qualities of spirit. And when exposed to those frequencies, your physical body may react to them as if you are dying. And that is where the fear comes from. But the idea is that as you raise your frequency and create less differentiation between physical and non-physical reality, you become more vibrationally compatible with our natural state and can allow your senses to begin to perceive us more solidly, more corporeally, more physically.
And this person asks, saying that they 2 days ago meditated and asked to travel with a UFO, and then read in the media the day after that a UFO was observed in the same area of Norway.
Yes.
Is there any link?
Yes. That was the UFO that that person visited. Whether they remember fully or not is not the point. But they were given an opportunity to understand through the media story that what they had asked for had actually occurred. In time, they may remember. The memories may unfold.
About 28 years ago, this person astral projected to a triangular ship and communicated with a triangular headed being through the window. Was this Bashar's ship or something else?
Something else. We will not go into details at this time.
Okay. And what this person is saying, when they were younger, they had vivid dreams of their family house on fire and witnessing a UFO. These dreams are still very vivid, and in their research, they sense that they might be significant encounters. They're saying that they know they've been in contact with ETs, and they feel close to remembering, perhaps even Bashar himself, which is one reason they feel such a strong pull to join this transmission. Any insights you might provide that would be helpful in this situation?
This is indicative of communication with hybrid beings in the dream state, in the altered reality state. The house on fire represents the idea of what you're going through now in terms of breaking things down, burning things up, going from an old cycle to a new cycle, allowing the old systems to fall away, to burn away, and new systems to be put in place for your world and your reality to be refreshed and renewed. So the idea is that you are going through this transition. Sometimes it will be represented in a negative way, such as the burning of a house, but nevertheless, it is representative of a clearing, of a letting go of an old way, burning the old ideas out and allowing new ones to come in. So the idea is of a clearing and a preparation and a laying a foundation for a new structure, a new reality to take place in which contact can occur more easily. That is the communication that was given symbolically.
Nice. This person is saying in LA, her son and she spotted two silent triangular shapes with distinct circles in each corner, flying in the night sky from their hot tub. A friend's photo of a similar craft later led me to Bashar, raising questions about the origins of what they saw.
Yes, well, hybrid ships. Again, there's a lot of traffic around your planet. When you expand your consciousness, especially in a relaxed state, such as you achieved in your hot tub, a meditative state, your senses can then become more keenly aware of things that are going on around you that might have been invisible to you before until you allowed your vibration to raise by being in a more meditative state, which then gave you the ability to see some of the traffic that is moving around your planet all the time, especially the hybrid ships, since they are very close to the vibration of open contact, since it is the hybrid children that will be coming to live among you.
Okay, and here's another one. This person says, I had a fascinating flying vehicle encounter in October of 2023 in New York City. It happened around 7 a.m. in Manhattan near the 14th Street Union Square area. I was out grabbing a coffee before work when, upon crossing a street, I noticed out of the sheer corner of my eye an object flying rather unusually low in the open between the buildings. It appeared large, silent, at a distance. I noticed that it happened to be heading in the direction of my workplace right before it disappeared from view behind the buildings. A block away from my workplace, I decided to stop and see if I could get a good look at what it was. Well, lo and behold, I did, only this time it then hovered and stopped in the open space as if noticing me noticing it and stopping by to say hello. If what I perceived was in fact extraterrestrial, may you share with me who that pilot was that was piloting that ship and where they from and anything more you can tell me about that?
It is a Yael craft. They did notice that you were noticing them. Having the coffee is symbolic of waking up, and they were basically recognizing that you were waking up enough to be able to perceive their ship, which was out of phase with your reality, and yet you saw it anyway. And so they noticed that. Their message, in a sense, was good morning. You are waking up.
This person is saying, I'm a science fiction fantasy author, and I'm always wondered if the worlds and characters that run around in my head are as real as I am, or are they only real as this reality? I have a hard time defining the world as an illusion because to me, illusions are fake and fake is meaningless or a lie. Would it be safe to view the world as more malleable and less fixed than we humans currently view our experience of it?
Yes. And again, you can have a different definition of the word illusion. It is not meant in the term to be fake. The idea is perhaps more auspiciously used as a projection of consciousness rather than illusion, if illusion doesn't work for you as a term. So a projection of consciousness can still create a virtual reality for you, and the meaning in it is what you put into it. The experience of it is real, and it gives you lessons, it gives you knowledge, it allows you to expand, it allows you to learn, it allows you to grow. So in that sense, the so-called quote-unquote illusion is useful as a tool, if you think of it that way, but perhaps it would be easier for you to use it in the term projection rather than illusion. The idea is that the imaginings are real in their own right to some degree in a variety of ways. It doesn't mean they have to be as concrete as you find your reality to be. But many of them may be, or they may be very close representations of a quote-unquote real solid physical reality. They may be slightly different than you imagine them to be, but they could be close. Nevertheless, everything is real in some context, even if it's only real as a story. It's still real in some way, shape, or form. even if it's not literally played out physically in some parallel version of reality.
So maybe one of the ways to relate to this is the idea that since it's a projection of consciousness, it's more malleable
Yes.
and it has more plasticity than we were originally taught.
Yes.
And similarly, whatever you experience is relevant to what you need to experience. So it, in a way, it doesn't matter if it's quote unquote real or not. Like,
Yes.
for example, they found that if a person observes another person being hurt in a way that is designed to make the person think it's happening to them, their subconscious cannot distinguish between what is really happening to them and what they are just simply observing.
Yes, but you are choosing a very complex psychological example that is beyond what this person was intending. The idea is to look at it more from the science fiction point of view. For example, in your Star Trek, you have the character known as Mr. Spock. As we have discovered, we have never found yet the idea that beings that look exactly like them, what you call the Vulcans, physically exist, but the representation of Mr. Spock is that he is a hybrid. Hybrids exist. The idea of what you call the non-interference directive, the prime directive in Star Trek, where certain civilizations that have not evolved to a certain point are allowed to evolve to that point before they are contacted, that is an actual thing that exists in many civilizations, including ours. So the idea is that there can be a mix of things that do have concrete reality to them, physically speaking. There can be some things that are real in the sense that they are symbolic representations of other concrete realities, though the representation itself may not be literal. All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. After the transmissions we have delivered for the past 40 years of your time, we now begin a new chapter, having reached the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. This new chapter will entail a different approach to the delivery of information that we provide for you, all falling under the banner of Countdown to Contact, Year 1 for this, your year of 2024. We will say Happy New Year to you all, and thus we will begin another part of the journey together, if you wish. For this year, each subsequent transmission will be titled Countdown to Contact, Year 1, Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment. For the first month, next month, it will be Step 1. This Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment, Step 1, and the subsequent steps in the following months that will be delivered intermittently, will be all about providing you with exercises and actions that you can take that will align you more clearly with the vibrational frequency of the Interstellar Alliance as preparation for the idea of open contact. These steps, this social experiment, will involve your willingness to take certain actions that we will describe that will be challenging for some of you to apply into your society. This doesn't mean that you have to do what we will suggest, but if you are willing to take the steps that we will outline, It will bring you into closer vibrational connection with the idea of open contact and the idea of the frequency of the Interstellar Alliance. In this particular transmission, we are simply preparing you to take these steps by announcing them and letting you know that we will be providing this information in the next transmission and the subsequent upcoming transmissions thereafter. Each of these steps will be a challenging introduction, a challenging series of actions for you to take in your society that in many cases may be asking you to go beyond what are typical bounds in your society, to reveal yourselves as aligned with the idea of an interstellar alliance. Again, none of you have to do this, but your willingness to do so will make you more aligned with the interstellar alliance, and the probability will increase of open contact for you. We understand that this can be challenging in your society, for many of the suggestions will be contrary to what you are used to doing. None of them will be breaking your laws, but they will allow you to take a stand. They will allow you to be bolder in your outward expression of your alignment, and they will each get more and more challenging relative to the norms of your society. But this is important now in this new cycle, this countdown to contact, year 1, for you to step up the game, as you say, and in your language, walk the talk, as you say, that will allow you bit by bit, step by step, to interject into your society the idea, the notion, and the consciousness of the existence of the Interstellar Alliance, and how you, in your willingness to follow these suggestions, will allow yourselves to become essentially a citizen of the Interstellar Alliance over time, over all the steps that we will suggest. Again, you have free will. There is nothing that forces you to take any of the actions we will suggest, but we will again tell you that should you be willing to do so, it will align your frequency more and more with the experience of open contact, and even more specifically with the vibration of the Interstellar Alliance, making it more and more probable on your planet for awareness to open up to our existence, the existence of other dimensions, by allowing yourselves to take the actions we will suggest that can, over time, begin to create a movement that will transform your society into one more capable of experiencing interaction with extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional, and spiritual beings of all kinds. So we will begin this cycle in this transmission with this announcement, which begins the preparation so that you have a month to prepare yourselves to decide whether or not you are going to be willing to take these actions as we deliver them intermittently from month to month. And again, the first transmission of these steps will be titled The Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Step 1, all under the banner of Countdown to Contact Year 1 in your year of 2024. This will all accelerate in the subsequent years thereafter for 3 years, and thus leading up to the probability of a contact event that can change many things upon your planet. So this transmission is simply to announce and alert you to the upcoming changes, to the new cycle of delivery of information. Much of the information we have delivered in previous transmissions will now focus in on your understanding of the formula how metaphysics actually functions, along with the suggested actions that will be coming in the subsequent upcoming months, and altogether your understanding deepening of metaphysical concepts and the actions you will take if you are willing to follow our suggestions will again increase the probability of contact for your world globally, depending on how far you are willing to go. And again, once again, I stress, you do not have to take these actions. It is up to you and your free will. For some of them may be too challenging for some of you, may take you too far outside your society, and therefore you may not be willing to necessarily partake of these actions and these suggestions initially. But I do guarantee that if you are willing to do so, the vibrational frequency of your alignment to the Interstellar Alliance and the probability of contact will increase geometrically. So it is up to you, as always, with your free will. As we begin this new cycle of information, as this new cycle of actions begins to unfold, we invite you to ponder deeply all we have said before, taking into account all that you have learned, all that you have been willing to apply in your lives with regard to the formula and your understanding of metaphysics and spirituality that we have shared with all of you, and to streamline it now in this new cycle to make it a daily understanding, a daily application, a daily usage in every situation and circumstance in your life to truly accelerate you into this new cycle, beginning now with this year of 2024. In return for the gift you are giving us in allowing us to share this with you and the subsequent actions that are to come, I ask, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and dialogues if you wish.
Hello, Bashar. I understand the concept that there is only me in the room, meaning that I have my own production house creating my own movie. But what about other people who also play a part in my movie? Do I have a say as to how they react, behave, or interact with me? Or all these are still their own decisions at the soul level? Meaning that their world and my world actually share the same storyline, or separate? For example, can a man actually create a reality in which his ex-wife actually moves back and falls in love with him all over again, while his ex-wife in her world, in her movie, she has actually moved on and married someone else? How separate or overlapped are these different worlds?
It can happen that way, although again it depends upon how it serves a purpose in that life path to experience those things. The idea is that you make agreements with others, agree to different kinds of storylines, as you say, but you still experience your version of those stories in your reality. By agreement, others will seem to share the same reality, even though they are in their own reality, perceiving their versions of you as you are perceiving your versions of them. So you are creating your versions of them, and it will be based on your belief systems about what you need from them, which can be either slightly or very different from what they may perceive in their reality of their version of you. It just depends on how closely aligned the different versions have agreed to be in terms of what you experience with each other in creating those representations of each other in your own realities. But again, sometimes it can diverge quite readily, quite far, and sometimes it will stay very closely aligned depending upon the agreement you have made and what purpose it serves to either remain aligned or misaligned. Good day, good day.
Ha'ata Bashar.
Ha'atu.
Ha'atu. Wow. I feel great. It's a great day.
All right.
I feel like we have had a conversation before, maybe telepathically. I was standing out in my yard and I had just listened to some of your stuff, and yeah, I could feel something. I don't know if it was that me making it up in my head with my
It is your higher mind, and also in combination with us, because we have many conversations with people on the non-physical realm before we have them in the physical realm. But the idea is that it always involves your higher mind to gain practice for you in understanding that your higher mind can answer all the things we have been answering for all of you for all this time as well.
Cool. I do want to ask some specific questions. One, I'll just start off with one of them is about um, I'm a farmer. I work with the land, and I heard you talk about the Lyrians, and I just want to, I guess, talk more about like water, plants, animals, the energy of those things, and my relationship with them, and how I can evolve those. Like I know water bending is a thing. There's a lot of things that I've seen in movies like superheroes can do, and I just get chills when I see those things. So I feel like they're possible. Um,
All of them happen in spirit. All of them can happen in spirit. Some of them can be brought into the physical realm if you allow yourself to see the physical realm as an extension of spirit more strongly. Not all of them are relevant for your particular life path, but certainly by allowing yourself to understand yourself as an extension and an expression of nature, as nature, rather than being in nature, then you can blend more fully with the idea of the consciousness of nature in all its forms, plant and animal, and elements, and allow yourself more efficacy with the communication with those particular forms of consciousness as well. Being a farmer, in a sense, you have a head start on this because you understand how to work with the land. Allowing yourself to understand everything that's physical as being an extension and an expression of spirit can also help you accelerate your ability to receive and send communications to all the elements we have mentioned.
cool. And does that include the Sasquatch or other
All things in nature. All things in nature.
So are the Sasquatch aware of me?
They can be. They are aware of many humans individually, especially those that work the land. So peripherally, they can be aware of you, though it may not be extensive.
What is a way to sort of invite them, I guess, or
Go into the forests where it has been said they inhabit, where it has been said they visit, and allow yourself to begin the cryptic meditations that Willa has delivered to all of you in the past. Sitting with your back to a tree, near a source of water, listening to the water, and extending your mind deep underground into the root system and the mycelial network of the tree, and beginning to blend with the communication between the trees in that way, can also connect you to many forms of nature, including the elementals and including the idea of Sasquatch. Begin those kinds of meditations on the cryptic journey, and it can improve your ability to perceive and receive communication from many different kinds of beings that exist that many people on your planet don't even know about.
cool. And teleportation, is that possible with my physical body, or do I need some sort of ship?
No, you do not need a ship. You have to understand that you're already teleporting all the time. That's how you move. You jump from moment to moment. You teleport from moment to moment. It's just that you do it so smoothly and so quickly, you don't even know you're doing it. So getting a deeper understanding of the fact that you're already doing it, because every moment you shift to a different reality, literally a different universe, you are teleporting constantly. Even to have the experience of a movement like this requires teleportation through billions of different parallel universes. So if you understand more deeply that you're already teleporting, you can increase your vibration to be able to perceive the rate at which you are already teleporting to create the sensation of movement, which is an illusion. And therefore, by increasing your frequency, you can match the frequency more readily of how you are shifting from reality to reality and perceive that you are always teleporting. And in doing that, you can learn to teleport in different ways that are more perceivable by those around you. But again, it depends on whether this is relevant for your life path.
Cool. And I've heard you say before that when the earth changes, it's not the earth changing, it's me shifting into different versions of earth.
As I just explained again.
Yeah. So what is my desire to regenerate the earth, to regenerate the land, if it's me shifting into something different?
The desire is to be a living example of the state of being and the actions that go along with that state of being that allow others to see in you how they can also choose to shift to versions of Earth that are more reflective of what they prefer.
Cool. And one of my last questions here, I want to get a little bit more specific about my personal myself. I know that I also listen to Abraham Hicks, so I know that in my vortex, there's this all around me is this pure, massive well-being. And I know that there are some thoughts that may be foreign beliefs that resist me allowing who I am to flow. And those thoughts are what I want to get at so that I can, I guess, identify them.
Well, the easiest way to do that is ask yourself how it serves you to hold on to them, because you don't hold on to anything that you don't believe serves you. So you have to look for the structure and the nature of what the belief is telling you and realize that you may have a belief that is causing you to be afraid to move forward because the belief is telling you that if you do let go, something worse will happen. So you have to find out what that belief is saying to you to see that it's nonsensical and not a fact. It's just a story.
And is that something that you're able to see in me? Or how do you?
I can only tell you how to allow yourself to discover it. Because again, this goes to the motivational mechanism. Listen carefully. You hold on to anything you believe serves you, even if it's a negative thing, because you believe the alternative would be worse. So you'll hold on to even something negative if you believe it's the safer alternative. So you have to find out what you're afraid might happen if you move forward in the direction you say you prefer, but find that you're not moving forward in that direction. It can only be because you have a belief that says moving forward in that direction would be worse than staying put, no matter how negative staying put actually would be. So you have to discover within yourself what you're afraid of might happen if you move forward.
Okay. And when I live in Hawaii, is there anything here, maybe around my location, that...
What island are you on?
Say that again.
What island are you on?
Maui.
All right. You understand that Haleakala is the heart chakra of the world, yes?
Yes.
The heart vortex. Allowing yourself to meditate in the understanding will open up your heart and open up communication to many different forms of elemental being.
Cool.
Does that serve you?
Yes. What about my last question is about you.
Yes.
Do you have human friends? Do you ever hang out on Earth?
I have not set foot upon your planet at this time. My ship is in your atmosphere, but I have not set foot upon your planet at this time. We consider all humans potentially to be our friends if they are willing to be so.
Well, I am, and it'd be cool to hang out. Um,
There may come a time when that is possible physically. For now, it is not yet the time.
okay. And my last question that comes up is about dragons.
Dragons are a projection of a certain interdimensional form of consciousness that is interpreted in your reality as the form of a dragon. That's not how they look in their own reality, but it is an expression of ancient wisdom and great power that takes that form because that's the form that your physical reality best interprets those interdimensional forms of consciousness.
Cool. Okay. So the
Thank
Moho.
You said that was your last question.
Yes. Thank
Then
you.
we thank you for your interaction, our unconditional love to you. Aveo.